The winner is Julie Andrews Mary. Thank you so much for this beautiful honor. She won Oscars. She enchanted the world. But behind the perfect smile of Julie Andrews was a dirty secret that she carried for 60 years. The explosive affair started on a movie set in 1965. She was wedded. He was wedded. Their chemistry was dynamite. When studio chiefs threatened to ruin them both when rumors of their clandestine hotel trysts became public, Julie remained silent until today. The star of The Sound of Music finally opens up the illicit romance that cost her everything. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel Spark Science, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. Julie Andrews was born in 1935 in a small English town, Walton-on-Thames. Even as a baby, her life was already complicated. Her mother Barbara had an affair with a family friend and Julie was born. Julie assumed for years that another person was her father. She only discovered the truth at the age of 15. That truth remained private all these decades until she revealed it in her autobiography herself. When World War II started, her life at home collapsed. Her parents broke up and later remarried. Julie moved from place to place, at times living with her actual father, at times with her mother and new stepfather, Ted Andrews. Life with her stepfather wasn't pleasant. He was a drinker and worse, crossed key boundaries. Julie needed to put a lock on her bedroom door to guard herself. They dwelled in a poor area of London, barely managing to make ends meet. Those war years, she would later recount, were some of the most somber of her existence. Even in all that chaos, however, there existed one shining beacon, her voice. Her stepfather, as much as he had issues, recognized she was talented and booked her singing lessons. That is where she encountered Madame Lillian Stiles Allen, a well-known vocal instructor. Julie called her a third mother. Madame recognized something unusual in Julie, an extraordinary vocal range and crystal-clear tone. Julie did not consider her voice exceptional. She teased that only dogs could hear her highest notes. But others were impressed. She worked hard, juggling school and music lessons, with the goal of living a life few children her age could even dream about. Julie's earliest actual performances were with her parents. She was 10, perched on a crate to see the microphone, singing with her mother on piano and stepfather. In no time, she was singing with soldiers, riding the trains, and even bunking in luggage racks with fellow child star Petula Clark. When she was 12 years old, everything changed. Her stepfather showed her around a man who operated some of London's largest theatres. He offered her a chance, and Julie took it. She made her professional debut at the London Hippodrome when she sang a tricky French opera song in front of a sold-out crowd. She was a kid, but her performance halted the show. The crowd went crazy. That one performance became a year-long engagement. She even performed with a balloon comedian named Wally Boa in a skit where she'd enter onto the stage and inform him that she could sing, only to amaze the crowd. She was 13 when she became the youngest solo artist ever to sing at the Royal Variety Show in front of the Queen and King. Then it all happened quickly. She was on radio, then television, heard everywhere in Britain. She appeared in children's productions such as Jack and the Beanstalk and Cinderella. And before she was a teenager, she already had her own fan base. Julie's first movie wasn't a hit. It was a voiceover in an Italian cartoon, The Singing Princess. But it was only the beginning. Julie Andrews was only 19 years old when she first appeared on a Broadway stage. It was September 30, 1954, and she took on the starring role of Polly Brown in a musical named The Boyfriend. It wasn't the debut of any ordinary sort, it was a turning point in her life. She had been suggested for the role by British actress Hattie Jacques, who was a person Julie always credited with providing her that initial genuine opportunity. But accepting the work wasn't simple. Julie had to abandon her family in England, and she was afraid. She was the breadwinner. And now she was going halfway around the globe, not knowing if she'd even make it. But her father had urged her to go, and that single decision would alter everything. Her performance was a sensation. The critics adored her. The public was amazed at her strong, clear voice and flawless comic timing. The production played for 485 performances, and Julie received the Theatre World Award for her debut. But the true reward wasn't the applause. It was the person who just happened to be in the audience. Two large Broadway producers, Frederick Loewy and Alan J. Lerner, were in the audience. They were looking for their new cast for My Fair Lady, and they had just signed their Eliza Doolittle. Julie was 20 years old by March of 1956 and no longer a newcomer. She was a star. Eliza Doolittle opposite Rex Harrison in My Fair Lady wasn't big. It was the role. The makeover from Cockney flower girl to refined lady presented Julie with an opportunity to showcase both her acting and her singing, and people took notice. The show was a gigantic success. It ran on Broadway for years and the cast recording was ubiquitous, on radios, in living rooms, even on the Billboard charts. After conquering New York, she took the same magic to London's West End in 1958. Her voice spanned 4 octaves and her talent crossed oceans. Then came 1960, when she came back to Broadway once more, this time playing Queen Guinevere in Camelot. She shared the stage with Richard Burton, a Welsh actor who illuminated the stage. Offstage, things became a bit complicated. Julie conceded later that she had a powerful attraction to Burton. He was charming, charismatic, and she was attracted to him. He remained professional for a while. But when he finally made his move, Julie surprised everyone, including herself, by lashing out with a curse word. "Mary Poppins, let fly," she joked afterward, calling him out and closing things down. Their chemistry on stage wasn't damaged, however. If anything, it crackled more. The production floundered initially, but improved after an appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. The audiences arrived and the show played for 3 solid years. Burton won a Tony Award. Julie received another nomination and someone very influential was in the audience, Walt Disney. Disney had seen her in Camelot and he knew at once that she was his Mary Poppins. But before that could materialize, something painful struck Julie full force. Hollywood was producing a movie version of My Fair Lady, and everybody thought she'd be in it. She'd made the character famous. She was Eliza Doolittle. But Warner Brothers said no. They wanted a star. They offered the role to Audrey Hepburn. It was a gut blow. Audrey was already a big movie star, but she couldn't sing like Julie. Actually, most of her numbers had to be dubbed by another artist. Julie has since said that if they'd asked her to perform for someone else's voice, she would have spit in their eye. But losing the part led to something greater. Disney offered Mary Poppins to her. He saw her on stage in Camelot and hurried backstage one night to meet her. Julie figured he was just being polite. Then she informed him she couldn't take any new assignments, she was pregnant. Walt smiled and said, "That's okay. We'll wait." He wasn't just being courteous. This had been his dream project for years. He vowed to his daughters he'd make a movie out of their favorite book, and he felt that Julie was the only one who could make it. He even rented a house in Los Angeles for her family to stay in. When Mary Poppins opened in 1964, nobody actually thought that the lady from a tiny English village was going to conquer the world. She was 29, new to film acting. And yet, as soon as she stepped onto the screen as the magical nanny, the public was under her spell. The film took off. It grossed more than $44 million in the United States alone and over $13 million internationally. The next year, the two movies competed at the Oscars. Mary Poppins won. Julie Andrews received Best Actress. Audrey Hepburn didn't even receive an Oscar nomination. Julie, in her acceptance speech, thanked the gentleman who made this feasible, Jack Warner, a sly reference to the executive who had turned her down. The icing on the cake, Mary Poppins grossed more than My Fair Lady, although it cost a fraction of the latter to make. Hollywood had discovered who Julie Andrews truly was. When The Sound of Music opened in theaters in March 1965, it didn't merely become a success, it burst into flames. It grossed $286 million at the box office and made Julie Andrews an international icon.